Good morning, guys. We have a very special video today. We are on our way up to North Georgia yet again. This time, we're filming a proposal. My buddy Gabriel hit me up about a month ago asking me about possibly doing a proposal and kind of like faking it as a car shoot. So this will be the second proposal I've ever done, which should be pretty fun. I think the cover is that I'm going to be doing like a POV, like behind the scenes kind of like video or whatever, while I take photos of them. So I actually have my hat, DJI Action 4 strapped to it, so I can have like some POV footage like this. How goofy does that look? If you guys hear anybody giggling behind the camera, it's Aubrey making fun of me probably. Hopefully that'll look pretty cool for you guys. Have a little POV driving video. But yeah, just kind of wanted to give you guys a rundown of what's going to go on today. I'm going to time lapse. Let's run it. We're about to pull up to the shoot location, so I'm gonna try to get as many clips as I can for you guys, but also I want to respect their privacy and understand that it's not my day, it's their day. Just want to capture the moment on video because I'll be taking photos as well. So hopefully it goes smoothly. Hopefully I'll have some shots up on screen for you guys here in just a sec, but I will see you guys in a little bit. No, both of y'all. Yeah, aww. Okay, so both of y'all stand on the right side first. Or I guess y'all's left. Yeah. Y'all stand there first. And you kind of come over a little bit more this way right there. Yeah. Okay, so then you're gonna lean on the car and kind of just do like that, but like looking the opposite way. And then y'all kind of like face away from each other. We're back. Aubrey has her coffee. She's happy. She's a happy camper. Photo shoot went well. I really wanted to set my tripod up. I should have done that, but I didn't have time. The engagement proposal. Yeah. It went really well. The weather was perfect. The mountains looked insane in the background. It was just, dude, it was amazing. So I don't know, probably just gonna put a little bit of music over it. Dude, can we talk about how good this Walter leather jacket looks?
Look at, does that match your Supra interior right there?
I think that matches my Mark V Toyota Supra with the manual transmission.
The coolest thing I've ever seen. Your A91
My A91 MT Special Edition Supra. No, actually, shout out to Walter Leather because they always share their new stuff with us, and it's so cool to be in just like a relationship with them. Aubrey has a cool purse. Actually, it's right behind my seat. You should grab it. Yeah, it is. It's right behind the seat.
Oh.
Check it. Look at that. Ah. It's actually
my fall bag.
This is Aubrey's fall bag.
I wore this in Greece.
Yes, she took it to Greece with her. Their stuff is just like so good. I've literally had this jacket for like 3 years now, and it still like smells like that fresh Italian leather. Yeah, right. They've gifted us a lot of like travel bags and stuff like that, and I use their stuff every day, like literally every day. You know what I mean? And so do you, actually. So shout out to Walter Leather. If you guys are looking for something for the holiday season, and you're like, man, I don't know what to get for my mom or my dad or my significant other, they have a whole list of custom leather goods that you can buy. So shoot them a message on Instagram, tell them Super John sent you, and you'll get a discount. That's actually not confirmed. You might not get a discount. I don't know. You'll probably get a discount. I'll talk to them. But yeah, so maybe I'll do a little bit of like editing this set or something like that. And yeah, maybe we'll do a little editing session on the photos. Maybe teach you guys a thing or two. So guess I'll see you then. Peace out.
Bye.
They're really cool. It's gonna be a really cool transition.
Yeah.
Liar! Okay guys, let's get into the editing process. I have Lightroom pulled up here. I like to use Lightroom Classic instead of the cloud-based version. Just a couple more features that it has. The layout itself is just a little bit more friendly, I think, to users. Now, you do have to take some time to learn it and understand it, but once you really get it down, you'll find that it's a lot more useful than the cloud-based version. So I highly recommend you use Lightroom Classic. You will have to probably have like an SSD or a hard drive because everything is stored on your actual computer instead of on the cloud. So just keep that in mind if you ever decide to switch over if you are starting on the normal Lightroom. Let's kind of just scroll through this shoot and I can show you kind of my process of how I was getting these shots. So starting up at the front, I had the car kind of as a side shot. Starting out with the side shot allows you to play with the sky, with the ground, with the car, and just make sure that everything looks good. So I like to get a couple shots just in case some of them are a little bit hazy or blurry or whatever, because it's cold, my hands are a little bit shaky. So just always make sure to do a couple burst photos and just make sure that you get a nice clear shot. I was shooting over here, as you can see, at 1/30, 24 millimeters, 125 ISO, and f3.2. I don't like to bump my ISO past like 150. Some photographers will go way past 1000 ISO. It's just a personal preference for me. Anytime I'm doing photos, I don't touch my ISO at all. For videos, I'll do 800 and 12800, which are the two base ISOs for the FX3, but my A7R3 does not handle low light as well as my FX3 does, of course. So, keep that in mind. Depending on what kind of camera you have, it'll handle ISO a little bit differently. This is an unedited photo and this is an edited photo. So how do I get from that to that? Let's go ahead and go into develop. The very first thing that I like to do is I'll pull my exposure all the way down to see how much of my sky I have left. As you can see, I exposed it properly, so I have plenty of sky left. And then I'll pull it all the way up and see how much detail I have in my actual car. So plenty of detail in the car. You can still see the lettering. I mean, it's nice and crispy. I know it's a little bit grainy here in the car, and that's just because of the low light, but you won't really see it in the final product. As you can see here, like, you don't obviously see any grain. So let's start by finding a good exposure. I'll overexpose a little bit because I know I can bring the sky back. So I'm going to expose for my foreground here and my subject. We'll start by bringing in a little bit of contrast. We'll bring the highlights, let's bring them down just a little bit. Just the highlights that are on the car, I don't want those too overexposed. We'll bring the shadows up just so I can see what I'm working with. Then we'll bring these whites down a little bit. Bring these shadows down just a tad. I like to throw a little bit of clarity in it. Don't touch texture at all. I would never touch texture, so just don't touch it. I'm gonna throw a little bit of dehaze in there because there's a little bit of haziness over where these mountains are. So just gonna throw a little bit of dehaze in so you can see those mountains a little bit better. This is something that a lot of photographers won't touch, but is actually one of the most important parts of the editing process, and that's your line curve. So this is gonna be what's affecting your shadows. I like to bring that down a little bit. This will affect your highlights. I'll bring this up a little bit, and it turns into what's literally called an S curve. So you can kind of see the S shape throughout the graph there. I'm not gonna really touch colors just yet, but just so you can see, like, this is how I touch my colors in the final photos. So we'll get to that later, but right now I wanna get all my exposures down first. We'll wait on this color too because I'll do this as well. That's pretty much it. If I kind of pull up a grid, I kind of see how, okay, let's line this up, right? With this, it looks pretty good, it's pretty straight. I mean, if anything, I could maybe rotate it just like a tad or two. I mean, really, it's pretty much perfect. So I really like where this is sitting right now. Let's go ahead and introduce some masks. I usually use between 5 to 10 masks per photo. I'll mask the foreground, the subject, any of the scenery, the sky, and then I'll bring in some radial and linear filters. So let's start with a landscape. Now this is an AI feature that obviously is part of Lightroom Classic. I don't know if it's in the Lightroom Mobile, but this is a super helpful feature. And if you have access to it, I highly recommend that you start using this. A lot of people actually don't even know about the landscape feature. So we have 6 different options. We have the sky. I can choose my mountains. I'm not gonna touch my mountains because if you go to natural ground and vegetation, it'll actually include the mountains. So I'm just gonna click vegetation. Architecture, I don't really need to touch, that looks good. I'm gonna make a mask for it just in case we need to do it later. And then let's look at the artificial ground. So basically everything is gonna be masked off besides the car itself. So I do have it set to create 4 separate masks so we can mask them individually basically. We'll start with the sky because that's what's gonna be overexposed first. Bring that down just a little bit. I'm gonna introduce a little bit of oranges to the sky, maybe some pinks, just get it to kind of pop a little bit. Let's go to the vegetation. We're gonna bring this down because it's a little too high. Gonna bring some contrast up, and that'll allow kind of these mountains in the back here to pop just a little bit more. And also it brings the attention towards the car because if you have kind of high, if you have lower contrast here, there's not going to be as much differentiation between the GTR and the landscape behind it. So I like to bring a little bit, and you can see it just kind of brings a little bit of that, that depth to the photo. Now, I am seeing something here that is no bueno. AI is not perfect, of course, and it did not pick up on this vegetation. So I like to show the overlay, and then you can say add brush, and you can just brush in the spots that the AI missed. You don't have to be super perfect here because the wing is black, so it won't really affect the wing much, and you won't really see it in the final product. So let's go to show overlay. See, that looks so much better. It matches the scenery around it as well now. We are good to go there. A lot of you may see this as tedious, but I think this is definitely worth the while for the payoff that you get. This is one of those things that's gonna separate a good editor from just a mediocre editor, is kind of going that extra step to make sure that your photo looks as good as possible. And you are gonna have to do this to every single photo. Like, you're gonna have to go through and just make sure that every photo is up to par, up to the same level as this one. But it's worth it in the end, I promise. So that looks good. There's a little bit of darkening on these boards here. So I'm kind of just gonna go through. Good enough for now. Usually I'd take a little bit more time on it, but I gotta get this video done. So let's go to the artificial ground. You can see I'm showing the overlay here so you can see everything that's selected. What I like to do is just bring it down a little bit. It'll make these leaves pop a little bit because they're gonna look a little bit brighter against the super dark ground. Maybe bring a little bit of that contrast up, and let's leave it right about there. Bring some of the darks down a little bit more. And now we can create a subject mask, and it'll help differentiate the subject from the ground. So let's bring it up a little bit. You can see it's affecting the mountains. I'm not worrying about that too much just yet. Let's bring the contrast down a little bit and shadows up just a tad. There's a little too much blue in the car, so I'm just going to introduce some oranges into it. And we'll take out some blues a little bit later. So let's go ahead and show the overlay like we did before. Gonna zoom in, and we're gonna have to take out these mountains. So let's get to it. So you can see half of my editing process is just making sure that the masks look good and making sure that everything is kind of aligned. So we have the brightness about where I want it. As you can see, it's very similar to how I had it before, but there's a lot less greens, there's a lot less oranges in it. So let's get to the actual coloring itself. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna introduce a little bit of orange and introduce a little bit of green. That's a good base starting point for us. So we're gonna go down here. I like to add a little bit of vibrance and then actually take out a little bit of saturation. And I'll give you more of that kind of professional look, but the colors themselves will pop a lot brighter. I'm not gonna touch any of the coloring curves. It's something that sometimes I'll touch if I need to, but usually I can get all my colors pretty dialed in just using the color mixer and the color grading. So I'm gonna do the color grading last. Let's hop into the color mixer. Number one, what I almost always do unless I'm shooting a blue car is take out my blues because they usually affect the car here a lot. Now you may be like, okay, what about the blues in the sky? If anything, I'll just bring back a little bit of the blues in the sky if I need to a little bit later. But I like the sky to be a little bit more of that orangey, pinkish color anyway. If I'm shooting during the day, then yes, I will keep my blues in, but at sunrise and sunset, I don't like really any blues. Let's go ahead and bring out the oranges a little bit. You can see us bringing a little bit of that saturation back into our image. Let's look at the reds. Let's see where the reds affect. Sometimes I'll just go back and forth between 100% and 0 to see everything that's affecting. You can see it's affecting the mountaintops here, a lot of the ground. So I'm just kind of gonna bring it somewhere around here. I do want the mountains to pop. So let's bring a little bit of that luminance up and you can see it just affecting the mountains there. So I like it because it looks like the sun is now hitting the mountains in the back there a little bit. I'm gonna bring the oranges up a little bit too, just help those calipers right here pop. Maybe the house a little bit. Then let's go into these yellows, see what it's affecting. So it's affecting a lot of the vegetation here. Okay, you can see my sky over here is a little bit too bright. I'm assuming because of the vegetation, the AI just kind of missed all the in-betweens here. So I'm gonna create a new mask here with a light brush, very wide, and kind of just brush in this sky a little bit. So what I'll do is I'm gonna take my highlights so that it doesn't affect the vegetation too much, and just bring the highlights down a little bit. You can see it looks a lot more natural, and as it gets away from here a little bit, we'll just bring those whites down. So this is without the mask, super bright. This is with the mask, just makes it look a little bit nicer. And you can see the trees aren't really that affected because they're dark trees, the light's behind them, so they're gonna be the same color either way. Let's get into some of these hues. I'm just kind of going to play with the colors again. I think I'm going to bring them a little bit more to the orange side. These yellows, I'm going to bring them a little bit away maybe. I like how orange the sky's getting, but I don't like how orange like this and over here are getting. So I'm going to actually bring them a little bit closer to the green side. It looks a little bit natural that way. Bring the greens up just a tad. You get a little bit of greenery here and a little bit of greenery here. Just gives a little bit more of a natural look to the whole image. I do like my blues to be a little bit more of an aqua color whenever I'm shooting at sunrise. And finally, let's just make our reds just a little bit more red. So it'll pop here a little bit more and it'll pop here a little bit more. Just show more of that sunrise look. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't mind it one bit. I'm gonna bring my luminances up just a little bit. Let's go into my sky just one more time. And I think I want to bring some oranges out just a little bit. So there's that. I think that should be good. You don't want to overdo the saturation too much, or it'll become just a little bit too busy in your image. And especially in an image like this, your main focus isn't just the GTR. Like, you want to see the landscape, especially during the fall. You want to see the scenery a little bit. The cabin really like brings in that fall mountain vibe. So when you're taking photos like this, if it's not like for a car company or if it's not to show off like a specific piece of the car, think of it more so as a landscape shot than just like a car photo. And I think that'll really help with one, composition, but two, just bringing tying the story in together of the car shoot, because it's not just a GTR, it's a GTR that's been ripping around the mountains, and you know, it's taking hairpin turns and hearing the exhaust echoing against the mountain. Like, there's all of these emotions that you have to capture in just one photo, and it's really hard to do. But that's why we're photographers, we capture those emotions. So I think it's really important to make sure that you nail not just the car, but everything around the car as well. So just keep that in mind in the back of your head whenever you're editing these. For our last little touches, we're gonna go to the color grading. I really like a little bit of greens in my shadows, greens and blues, so I'm gonna kind of just mess around and see what looks best. I'm gonna introduce a little bit of blue there. I love some oranges in my highlights because that's really what's gonna affect the sky and some of the mountains. So you can see how the blues look. It's okay, but if you go over towards like the orange side, it just looks a little bit more natural, especially at that sunrise. And we'll just introduce a little bit of greens into our midtones, and that's gonna affect all of these colors that are being shown here. So really most of the photo, honestly, but you only wanna do just a tad. Just give it a little bit of that pizzazz. I think it looks good right there. I'm actually gonna bring my midtones down just a little bit. Give it a little bit of that contrast. And then I'll bring my shadows up just a bit. So I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna introduce just a little bit of lighting here. So my subject needs a little bit more contrast in it. There's that. And let's bring a little bit of a radial gradient down from here because this is where our sun's coming from. Now I don't want it to affect the house because it's coming from behind the house technically. So I'm gonna go to mask 3, subtract, and we will subtract the architecture. This is something that was literally just introduced to Lightroom maybe in the past year or so. So I'm still getting used to it. I think like the details of it are still being ironed out a little bit, but you can see it's not affecting the house as much, which is really nice. So we're gonna kind of bring that in just a little bit, like so. I may widen it just a tad and bring it down. I always bring a radial gradient over the car itself. So I'll do that, and then I'm going to duplicate and invert mask and just bring everything else down a little bit. And that kind of draws the attention towards the car. It's a small little detail, but it actually makes a big difference. Bring a linear gradient from the bottom. That'll bring a little bit more detail towards the car. And I think I'm actually pretty happy with that. I don't want to overdo this too much. So we can look at this is how I just edited it now, and this is how I edited it before. So very similar. I think there's just a little bit more of like a natural look in this one. So you could go 2 different ways with it. Pretty happy with that though. I don't know, you guys tell me which one you like better. Do you like a little bit more of that brighter look where you can really see all the details in it, or do you like that darker look where you can see a lot more like in the mountains and everything? I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts. As you can see here, I did not catch this little wing piece, so I'm actually gonna make this adjustment here. All right, I am happy with that. Let's move on to the next photo. Okay, so this is another photo that I took. I really like this photo with the cabin in the background and the sun kind of coming through the trees. The sunrise is actually coming from like right around here. So let's kind of dive into this and I'll show you my process. This is gonna be the edited version where I already kind of did everything. And this is gonna be what we're working with now. So first things first, make sure that it's a nice crispy image. I can read everything very good. Let's go ahead and center this. It's already pretty much perfect, but I am just gonna center it. I like to take lines on the car and just make sure that they are perfectly lined up. So for instance, like this part right above the diffuser here, I'll just go to the rotate, make sure that's straight. It is. My lines are going straight through the Nissan and the license plate, so we are all good there. And I think we are ready to roll. First things first, let's introduce some lights, see where our shadows are, see where our highlights are. Very good. I want this to be a little bit more of like a moody, dark photo, so I'm going to keep the exposure a little bit lower. I'm going to bring the highlights down just a bit, bring my shadows up, and then we'll bring the whites and the blacks down. Gonna bring in some clarity, a little bit of dehaze, and that should be good. Vibrance up, saturation down a bit. The S-curve, there's no real specific number. You just kind of do it based on feel, where you're starting to get that contrast. So already the picture is starting to look super good. We'll worry about that in just a little bit. I'm pretty happy with how that's going. So this time I'm going to start with my gradients. So bring this down a little bit. We'll bring a radial gradient from here, just straight down from the top, because this is a straight on photo. That looks good. Let's go ahead and select my subject. Now I'm doing the select object feature because sometimes when you have a building in the background, it's not very good at selecting the actual subject itself. It'll select some of the building, or as you guys saw, it'll select some of the mountains. So I try my best to just kind of use the object to select as much as possible. You can see it missed a little bit of the wing. I'm just gonna add in a little bit of the brush. It doesn't have to be perfect, like I said. Bring a little bit of contrast in. I don't like all the highlights in the car, but I do want to leave a little bit of the sky because you can see some of the pinks and stuff, and you can see where the trees are reflecting off the car, so it just looks a little bit better. Let's bring some of the shadows up just so you get a little bit more of the details in the diffuser. And then I'm going to bring the whites down, blacks down just a bit. Let's make this, I actually like the balance as it, maybe a little bit more green there, and that should be pretty good. So subject I am happy with. There's not much to do with the sky because it's kind of behind the trees, so I'm pretty much just going to leave it as is. There's so many spots where the sky could go wrong when you're trying to select it, as you can see here. I actually did a pretty good job. There's some dots in here where it just kind of missed it, but I'll just kind of show you, like, it doesn't make too much of a difference. You can see it's missing a little bit in the top right, but all in all, it's not bad. I'm just gonna bring it down a little bit, but not really much I can do with this guy right now. It is a little bit overblown because I'm working with so much shadow in here, but you kind of just leave it as is. It doesn't make too much of a difference because the tree's right there. And speaking of trees, let's go to vegetation and artificial ground. Make 2 masks for those. Artificial ground, I always bring it down a little bit, introduce a little bit of blue into it. Vegetation, that can go down just a tad, introduce some oranges to it, and that'll kind of create that separation that you want. Pretty happy with the exposure look on this. You can see they're pretty much the same exposure wise. If anything, this one looks a little bit better actually than my previous one, but you can see I introduced a lot of blues in here. So let's go ahead and get into our colors. I'm gonna bring the oranges up a little bit, and that'll really affect here. The reds really, in this case, are just gonna affect the taillights. I don't really see the reds affecting too much else, maybe the roof a little bit. We're gonna go to our yellows, our greens, that's not doing too much. Aqua's not doing too much. Blues are doing a little bit, but I'm just gonna keep them more to the aqua side. And not much going on with purples or magentas, so I think we're pretty good to roll onto our saturation. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit, and that's going to help the taillights pop, but I also am going to bring the luminance for the reds up, and that will really bring some of that attention to the taillights, which I would consider the defining trait on all GTRs. So I like to work with whatever is like a defining trait of the car. So for GTRs, you have their taillights. For let's say for an NSX, you know, the defining features probably like the pop-ups or something like that, or maybe like the T-top. So I like to bring attention to whatever is like the big deal on that car, if that makes sense. Alrighty, so we still have a lot of oranges in here. I am gonna bring the oranges up just a little bit. There's not really much else to play with in terms of saturation. You can see how much it's affecting. I'm gonna bring the yellows up just a little bit. Okay, not too much to do on this photo, so let's go ahead and mess with the color grade. Immediately, I'm going towards the blues here, bluish greens. I'm looking a little oversaturated here just to kind of see what all it's affecting. You can see it's affecting a little bit of the trees, but not too much. So let's throw in probably like right about there. And there's, again, no real rhyme or reason. It's really just what I feel looks the best. So you can just use what works for you. This is really just affecting my sky and some of the highlights in the car. So I'm not going to do too much to this because it's not going to make too much of a difference. And then we'll just throw in some more greens to the midtones. I'm going to bring the midtones down a little bit. Bring my highlights up just a tad. Bring these down just a bit. Bring my midtones back up. And I'm pretty happy with that, actually. So it's a little bit different from this one, but honestly not too different. Really just a little bit more of a blue look, honestly. I don't know, you guys tell me what you like better. I think this has just a little bit more blue, but that's really the only difference that's in these photos. This one's a little bit crooked, so let me, you know what, this one's actually pretty straight. So is this one crooked? There we go. I don't know. Maybe I'll take some blues out of this one. Let's take some blues out and see how this one looks. I think I like this one better. This one looks a little bit better. So we're gonna keep this one. This one's gonna go away. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. So as you can see, this cuts through here, that's straight. This cuts through here, that's straight. This cuts through the tailpipes, this cuts through the tailpipes. This is right next to that stand. This is right next to that stand. So the car is pretty much perfectly centered. Really happy with that. So boom, there's your photo. So there's two photos from the GTR set. I actually used this spot 3 times this fall. So I wanna show you guys how I edit like these versus how I edit in the same spot, but just at different times of the day. So I also had a set from this 400Z that I shot, and you can see we did this at sunset. So the sun was like literally right behind the car. It was insane. Like these photos came out incredible. And then I also had a NSX that I shot there a little bit earlier in the fall. I kind of want to show you guys how I edited these because these were a little bit overcast, so we kind of had that like cloudy feel. I think it'd be really interesting to see the difference in how I edited like these versus how I edited the ones with like the super nice sunrise in the back. So I think it'd be really interesting to see how I edit these versus the ones with the super nice sunset in the back. So we'll start with the 400Z because that was a little bit closer to the GTR photos we just looked at. All right, so let's scroll through some of the photos that I took. These were kind of in the entry road coming up to the house. But I want to show you guys a similar photo to where I shot the GTR. So we're gonna do some photos that were up on the parking lot by the cabin. Let's do this photo. This was probably one of my favorite photos from the set. So let's dive into it. As you can see, first thing I look at is make sure everything is nice and crispy. It is. This is pretty much that same shot. So I start by centering the photo. So I'm gonna make sure that it is perfectly centered. And something that I want to mention is I think it's okay for you to edit the same photo a couple different times and see what you like the best. Sometimes I'll do a couple different iterations of the photos, or at the beginning of the shoot, I'll start by editing it one way, and then by the end of the shoot where I'm like 20 or 30 photos into editing, I go back to my first photo and I realize that I don't like it at all compared to my last few photos that I did. I'll copy over whatever adjustments I made on those last few photos onto the first photos and kind of mess with it a little bit and tweak it. Throughout the whole shoot, I like the colors to be the same, but exposures can change. So that's kind of just the way I think of it. Make sure that your color grade is the same throughout the whole set, and then you can change your exposures as needed. So if you want to do like a couple nice bright photos where it's showing off the car really well, and then do like a couple moody photos where maybe all you see is like the taillights and the sunset, you can totally do that. But I just like to make sure that the photo set as a whole is cohesive. It'll bring a little bit more of that professional standard into the photo shoot when you do it. So as you can see, this is the raw image. It's already really good because the lighting that I had was amazing, and this is kind of one of the biggest things that you can do to help yourself become a better editor is have a really good photo to start with. So it'll make your life a whole lot easier. How do I get from this to this? First up, we did the cropping already. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna go all the way to the brightness, see what kind of shadows I have saved. And I'm gonna go all the way to the darkest and see what kind of highlights that I have saved. So you can see the sky's a little bit blown out here, but that's okay because we're gonna kind of play into that a little bit, play into like the haziness of it. I really love actually the idea of editing this one a little bit differently from this one and making this like a kind of darker moody vibe where you really only see the taillights. So that may be something that I do and kind of just show you guys a little bit of a difference. Let's go through this edit real quick just so you guys can see what I did. I had the sky here, just dropped it a little bit. I didn't really touch it too much because like I said, I wanted to play a little bit more into the bright hazy look that I had. We had the mountains, didn't really touch those much, just brought a little bit of greens into them. We had the vegetation, again, just brought them up a little bit, played into that hazy look a little bit. And then we just, brought down the asphalt a little bit just to give it a little bit more of that separation. So not too much with this photo. Let's do a little something different with this one. I really like the idea of messing with this. So let's bring the contrast up a little bit. Just give it a little bit more separation. We'll bring the highlights down, bring my shadows up, bring my whites down and my blacks down. I'm not actually gonna touch dehaze much. If anything, I'll bring it down a little bit because like I said, I'm playing into that haziness a little bit. Bring the vibrance up, bring the saturation down. We'll mess with our S-curve just a tad, like so. All right, how do I want to play this? Let's see what kind of reds we have. So the reds are just affecting the taillights. That's good. I want to make this look a little bit more golden. So instead of having like the greens in it, let's bring this over toward the red side just a bit. Let's look at our yellows. So our yellows are actually affecting the skies a lot in this photo. So let's bring it a little bit more toward the orange side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the brightness or the luminance down here a little bit. And as you can see, I'm dialing in the colors first this time because I really just want to see what I can do before I start masking things off. There's no real set way on an editing process. Most of the time I do my masking first and then do my colors after, but honestly, I just kind of want to see how these colors are going to look. So let's go ahead and start masking some stuff off. I want to go ahead and select my subject, make sure that I mask my subject correctly. It does. We'll bring that up just a little bit, maybe like here. And then what I'll do is I'm going to do a duplicate and invert mask so I can kind of bring everything else up that doesn't affect the car, and that way I can kind of, because here's the thing, if I go and if I want to like brighten my whole image a little bit, I then have to go into here and bring the exposure up and then go back to my subject and bring that back down, because when I brought my exposure up, it brightened the car as well, but I want the car to be like exactly this brightness. So if you do like an inverted mask, you can just affect the things that are around the car, if that makes sense. So we'll start there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my artificial ground up a little bit. So if you remember with those GTR photos, I brought it down to create a little bit of that separation, but that's because I was bringing the GTR brightness up. So now that I'm bringing my subject brightness down, I want to bring the ground brightness up to give it a little bit more of that that differentiation. We have the vegetation and we have the sky. So let's go ahead and create these masks. Artificial ground will come up just a bit, like so. You can see now, okay, the sun rays kind of coming through a little bit. You know, when it was a little bit darker, you couldn't see that as much. So let's go ahead and pick our mountains. So I'm gonna go ahead and dehaze these a little bit, kind of play into the foggy mountainous vibe. You can see if you go all the way, you know, you see the fogginess in the back, but you don't really see it in the foreground as much. So let's bring a little bit of that in here. And I'm not going to get into any photoshopping, but what I would probably do is I'd probably Photoshop a little bit of fog into the valleys or into the mountains a little bit, just to give it a little extra spice, but no need to do that here. So let's go ahead and bring these down a little bit, bring those up a little bit. All right, let's bring a radial gradient from here. Let's bring this up just a tad. Gonna bring a linear gradient from here. Expose that. Alright, I want my card to be a little bit brighter. Let's bring the shadows up just a bit. Okay, let's do the sky. Bring this down just a tad. Really don't have to do too much to the sky, honestly. Maybe make it a little bit more pink, but that's really it. And I might just bring the whole photo up just a bit. Let's go ahead and introduce a little bit of greens to the shadows. I want to see exactly how I want to bring these in. And then we'll bring some greens into the midtones as well. I like that. And then we'll bring just some golds, orangey golds into here. All right. Now, you can see the photo looks good, but it's not quite perfect. So I want to bring a little bit more light into here. Then let's bring just the whole brightness down just a tad. So you can see how I edited this versus this one. You guys tell me what you like better. If you like the brighter, you know, really like sunshine in your face look more, or if you like the subdued look a little bit more. I don't really know which one I like better, honestly. All right, Aubrey, come here. You're gonna be a guest star in this video. Do you like this one better? A little bit more subdued, a little bit more chill, or do you like this one better?
Go back. Go back. Go back. I like that one better.
You like this one better?
Yeah.
All right, guys, there you have it. Aubrey is the final decider. She likes this one better, so let me know which one you like better in the comments. But I hope that kind of gives you an idea of why you do two different edits, because I literally edited these last week and I had edited it like the super bright before, and I really love it. And the other thing is, like, I had some other photos that were a little bit darker and they kind of were like a little bit more moody, so it's okay for me to have that be a little bit brighter because I have a little bit of both in the set, you know what I mean? But that's why it's cool to just go back and edit photos, you know, a day or two after, or like a week after, and just see what you like better. Now, for clients, I like to get them their photos back within a week. I just like to be on top of things and go ahead and get them done. So usually I only have time to go through and edit them like maybe once or maybe twice. But if you have time and you're maybe just like still messing around, take 2 weeks, and like the first week, edit all the photos and get them done. Then don't touch them for like 2 or 3 days, and then go back to them and say, okay, how can I improve this? Or just do a different photo that's the same shot and edit it without looking at the other photo, and just see which one you like better, because you never know. You might like the new one better, or you might like the older one better. You may have edited it perfectly the first time. So yeah, just see what works for you. You'll figure out your flow. All right, let's do one more photo from that NSX shoot. So you can see these are from 10/28, which is October 28th. and these are from November 15th. Almost like 2 or 3 weeks difference. Why the GTR photos didn't have as many leaves. In the Z photos, you can see they were starting to fall a little bit more. But let's go ahead and edit some of the NSX photos. I actually want to edit one of the photos that's in the grass because these were super cool, and you never get an opportunity to like shoot in the grass. It was such a cool shoot. So yeah, let's edit one of these photos. Next time I do one of these, let me know if you guys want me to have like a Google Drive of the RAWs where you guys can kind of follow along and edit with me. I think that might be super cool to do. So let me know if that's something that you guys would want. Let's go ahead, let's edit this photo. I really love this photo. So let's go to develop. As you can see, first thing I always look at is make sure it's nice and crispy. It is. I can still read everything. So this one looks good as well. Let's edit this one. And now I haven't looked at these in almost a month. So let's edit this one. First things first, I actually don't mind that it's just a tiny bit off center because the car is off center a little bit, but just for the sake of the video, go ahead and straighten it out there. Okay, gonna bring my brights all the way up, my darks down. You can see here the sky's pretty much still 100% savable. I did a really good job of exposing the photo itself, which is really easy to do whenever you're shooting with a cloudy sky. If you have a super bright sky where there's almost no clouds, I mean, you're gonna be dealing with a super bright sky and a super dark foreground. So it's hard to like nail the exposure, which is why shooting in cloudy weather is super easy, unless you have a white car. And then that's not fun. But let's start with, bring the contrast up a little bit. Again, highlights down, shadows up. Now, one of the big things on this car is his white wheels, so I want to make sure that I make those pop in the end. That and then the red. Those are the things that in this set I was thinking about the whole time. I was like, okay, I want my red to pop and I want the white wheels to pop. Everything else I can kind of deal with dependent on those two things. So just keep that in mind. Have a plan whenever you start editing. Kind of have like a goal in mind. It'll really help the finished product look good. Go to my S curve. I'm gonna bring this down a little bit more than I brought it down for my other photos because I really want to play into the contrasty look here because it's a little bit moodier. So I want the ground to be like a little bit darker. I want the leaves to kind of not necessarily be completely crushed, but I want to have that contrast in the leaves. That's really what's going to help bring out the contrast in this photo. So bring the reds up a little bit. I'm going to bring the greens and the yellows down just a tad because they're taking away from the car a little bit. So I don't want to completely take them away, but just a little bit. And then bring the oranges up so that'll help the leaves to pop without making the grass pop. See, I'm messing with my green/yellows a little bit. There's actually not much difference with the greens. You can see a little bit at the bottom, but that's it. So I'm just gonna keep them a little bit more to the yellows. And since it is fall, I'm just bringing this over to the left a little bit. Gonna bring the brightness, the luminance down just a tad. Okay. Let's get into our masking. So first things first, we're gonna bring a linear gradient from the bottom, and this will really help bring focus towards the car and less focus on the ground. You see what I mean? So look at this versus this. There's such a difference when you're talking about like your focus shift. It's probably the #1 thing to do. And then the next big thing, especially in this photo, because the sky meets the car right here. So when you select your sky and drop it a little bit, there's gonna be a huge difference here. You see how much more the car pops now, especially the taillights? The difference between going from this to that, it's insane. That's like #1 here. So always make sure that you have that contrast and depth. This is exactly like in that Z photo. This is about with the depth that I'm talking about. And it's not something you can measure. You can't measure depth in a photo. There's no slider for depth, you know what I mean? It's something that you're just gonna have to have ingrained in you when you're editing. And it's gonna take time to kind of get there, but eventually you'll start seeing it. You'll be like, okay, this is gonna bring more depth, or this is gonna make it look a little bit more shallow. So just as you edit, it's something that you'll pick up and you'll understand. So I don't want to go too low with this, maybe somewhere around here. Bring a little bit of, I actually don't like the oranges in the sky, so I'm going to keep them a little bit more blue. And then what I'll do is I'll come down here and just take my blues out. You see that? So that is looking good. Let's bring the shadows and the clouds down a little bit. Like that. Looks like it's gonna rain in a little bit, which is really cool. So far, this is where we're at. This is the difference in the photos. Looks super, super good. So sometimes I like to look at the original photo and be like, okay, is there anything that I edited out that, you know, should still be in there? Or did I take out some colors that I really liked in the original photo? This looks pretty good to me. I think the only thing is I wanna make the lights a little bit darker because they're a little bit too bright right now. So maybe we'll come in here and just bring the luminance down just a bit. Or I could just go for the fully brightened out look. Maybe I'll just do that. All right, that's fine. What I'll actually do is I'll do a select subject. This one I have a feeling it's gonna select pretty well. It does, because usually when you have like a red car with a green background, when you're not dealing with like a dark blue or a black or a dark gray, it's really good at selecting the subject. So just bring these up a little bit, and what I can do is I can bring the highlights down and the whites down. Actually, yeah, let's bring the whites down. Okay, so you can see the light is coming from here, right? So I want to play into that a little bit. So let's bring a radial gradient down here. Gonna go ahead and I made it a little bit thinner because when you make a radial gradient too wide, sometimes it'll just affect too much of the photo and you lose the point of the radial gradient, which is to just bring light in from a specific spot, like so. So you can see it looks like there's a light source literally right here, versus if I brought it a little bit wider, it would just start affecting the whole photo, which I don't want. I want it to look like it's coming from a specific source. So I really like how that's looking. Now I want to introduce some blues into the midtones for sure. So this will be a little bit different from the blues that I took out from the sky earlier, because this is affecting all the midtones. It'll just make it look a little bit moodier. So what I'll do is I'll leave them here, and I'll bring the midtones down just a tad. That looks really good. Then I will mess with the shadows a bit. I honestly don't want to do too much with the shadows. The shadows are really just messing with a little bit of the car, but really just the ground. So maybe I'll just introduce, let's do a little bit of orange or pink. Do that, we'll bring the shadows down just a tad. Then highlights are really just affecting the highlights in the sky and a little bit of the reflection on the car. So we're just gonna try to balance out the photo by bringing in a little bit of that orangey pink into it, and hopefully that'll kind of balance things out a little bit. Yeah, bring out a little bit of brightness in it. So I'm pretty happy with this photo. I want to make the wheels pop just a tad bit more, so I am going to do a linear gradient, and you can see, not a linear gradient. I'm gonna go ahead and do a radial gradient. This photo is a little bit easier because I really don't have to deal with the sky. I don't have to deal with the house at all. I don't really have to deal with any of like the vegetation that I did before, or like the artificial ground, the asphalt. So this one is a little bit easier for me to do. Takes a little less time. I'm gonna introduce just a little bit of blue into these, because in real life they're like a very, very stark white. They're not like that yellowy white. So you see, if I turn these off, you can just see how much of a difference just brightening the wheels up a little bit makes. And I'm pretty happy with that. So let's look at my original. So yeah, really the biggest difference was the sky. I didn't have, in my other photo, I didn't have this coming in. And then my lights were just a little bit darker. So I don't know, let me know what you guys like better. Do you like the tail lights that they look like they're on, or they look like they're just kind of sitting there? And then do you like the light source coming from the top right, or do you like it kind of just like coming from the sky as a whole in general? Let me know what you guys think. I think the ground actually in this photo looks a little bit better, so I might introduce some more blues into the shadows here. Bring the shadows down a bit. Let's see how that looks compared to the other one. Yeah, I like that better, see. I don't know, let me know what you guys think, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into my editing process. If you want me to do another one of these with some different locations or some different cars, or maybe do like an editing my subscribers photos or something like that, where you guys can send me your photos. Kind of like what North Borders does. I really love his style of video. Just seeing his take on photos is so cool to me, because he has such a different eye than I do, and he edits a lot differently than I do. But I've learned a lot from him, and it's kind of broadened my editing style, if that makes sense. So let me know what you guys think. I really enjoyed doing this. If you guys like the setup where it's kind of like with the face cam over the Lightroom, let me know. Again, congrats to the engaged couple. I'm super happy for them. Just want to respect their privacy and not really edit any photos with them in it. That was kind of their moment. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed kind of like the half shooting, half editing style video. Let me know what you guys want to see. I'm having a lot of fun with this, so hope you guys are enjoying it as well. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.